welcome to this edition of the Phil Taylor Jones Show. We're happy to be with you once again. Today we're going to go on a crazy law enforcement adventure. As you know, there have been lots of things that have been happening in Charlotte, North Carolina, after a 43-year-old man was gunned down by police. Also in Tulsa, Oklahoma, another gentleman was yet gunned down by police. And with all of that happening, there were some adverse reactions. I'm Phil Taylor Jones, your host, and we'll talk about these two incidences. Well, first let me say the Phil Taylor Jones Show offers condolences to both the Crutcher family and the Scott family for their loss, their tragic loss, senseless loss of life. We know that you are grieving the loss of your loved ones, and may you gather close to your friends and family to try to find some solace and try to find some kind of ease in this most horrible of incidences. You know, as I look back in history, this police brutality isn't new. It's been around for as long as possibly there have been police. Brutal, senseless killings done by white officers on black people, black officers on black people, white officers on white people. Police brutality. But here of late, the white officers killing black people has been before us. Now, whether or not that's some kind of propaganda issue, who's to say? News whores reporting something that wants to get everybody up in arms? Again, who can say? But having said something about news whores, we know how they are. If there were black cops shooting up a lot of white folks, they'd tell it. Count on it. So here we are with this situation, perpetuated by vast racism in this country. Again, that's not new. So, you know, you hear stories like Mr. Crutcher's, you hear stories like Mr. Scott's, and then here comes the aftermath on social media. Oh, well, them niggers deserved it. Kill all of them. They're just a bunch of unruly jungle bunnies. All of them should be dead. Kill all of them. Well, that's what they get. They don't follow the police orders. They should be shot. And other terrible things I don't really wish to go into. So, and then here comes Black Lives Matter with their spin on it. Black Lives Matter, terrorist group. They're the worst thing since ISIS. They're the worst thing since Al Qaeda. Okay, cool. Let me ask you this. According to white America, or should I say a majority of white America, because all white folks don't feel this way, it's okay for black people to be killed. Fine, that's the norm. It's okay. It's okay for their families to suffer. It's okay for Black Lives Matter not to say a word about it, or black people in general not to say a word about it. That there should be brutal police brutality in which people are killed, and that's okay as long as you don't say anything about it. You see, when it comes to white folks, or some white folks, and racism, they're good at it. They're most proficient. When that racist white person becomes a police officer, then they get more proficient, because now they've got a gun. And unlike the 60s, where we had subservient black people who were basically afraid of white folks, scared to death of them. White person tell you to do something, you did it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, boss. Yes, sir. You'd break your leg trying to do it. If they gave you any kind of command, whether or not it was an appropriate command, a right command, or something that would, be detrimental to your health and life, yes, sir, boss. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, master. And you'd go do it. Well, that gave these racist white folk pride. I got them black folks under control. Don't do anything for me. Then came Martin King with his peaceful demonstrations and marches. Again, those black people didn't raise up against, because they were taught by Dr. King to be peaceful. So they brought out the dogs to attack them. Shoot them with fire hoses with a pressure so intense that it would literally rip the flesh from bone. You see, that's the kind of black people that racist white people like, the subservient ones. So, as I said, police brutality in and of itself is not a new thing. It's been around for as long as there have been police. Racism has been around as long as there have been people for white racist people to hate. But what's different now is it's a different kind of black folk. Oh yeah, it used to be in the 60s and 70s that the grandparents of these black folks, these niggers, they would train them and they'd make them obey white people. But now, the old folks, the old black uns, they done died out. And now these young uns done come up and you can't control them. They ain't nothing but a bunch of jungle bunnies. They don't have no fear of white people. They just do what they want to do and go out and cause trouble. Well, here we go. You get these thugs. Oh yeah, that's right, Phil. Call them niggers thugs. No, I'm not talking about the niggers. I'm talking about the white police. The ones that are racists, obviously, because they go out with an intent to kill black people. Before I go on, as we always do here on the Phil Taylor Jones Show, let me pay great homage to those police officers out there, no matter what their color, who are fighting tooth and nail to keep us safe, to keep us protected, and to help us remember when the law has been infringed upon. They are the good people, the good salt of the earth that are doing their job with honor and dignity. They too want to be safe and get back home to their families. To those police officers, we say good on you, mates, and we're happy to have you aboard. But back to those thugs with badges and guns who harbor racist thoughts and then carry them out when they see a black person. You're disgusting. You're scum. You don't deserve to disgrace the honor of that badge. You don't deserve to be on the force. Now, what police officers or police chiefs and commissions and what have you need to do is they need to weed out those kinds of potential bad people. Get them out of the force. Because here's what I find ironic. You hire these people, you send them out, and they do all of this stuff. Then when you catch up with them, you don't fire them, you don't prosecute them, you move them out of your department into somebody else's department, another state or another jurisdiction, and they go on doing the same thing habitually. That needs to end. Now, let's take a look at something that I find very ironic. Just a few days before Mr. Crutcher and Mr. Scott's incident, we had an Islamic incident in New York and New Jersey. We had one in Minnesota too. But that guy was black. He was a black muzzy, so he's gone because he's black. Okay. But this light one, I find it very, very interesting that this guy lit off a bomb in New York that injured 29 or 30 people, planted several other devices in other spaces in New York, and then crossed the line over into New Jersey and set a bomb that went off, and luckily nobody was there. He had a gun battle with police, yet he's in the hospital still alive. Police got him a couple of times, but he's still alive. Mr. Crutcher hadn't set off a bomb, hadn't injured anybody. He was in the streets with a potentially broken down vehicle or a vehicle that would not operate properly and was obviously dazed. I don't know whether it was with drugs or what have you. Walks away from the police with his hands up. Looks like he was somewhat ill or something. Puts his hands on his vehicle, shot fired, then taser. Comment from a helicopter police officer, "Oh, this looks like one bad dude." Oh, you can tell that. You can make a judgment call on a person from 1,500 feet up in the air. Wonderful. Beautiful. Then you have this incident in Charlotte, North Carolina, in which you have a disabled man, 43 years old, Keith Lamont Scott, going to pick up his son, as he had done probably many, many days before this incident. The police go to the location looking for someone else, sees Mr. Scott in the car, and the guy ends up dead because he allegedly has a gun. He gets out of the car, then he gets back in the car, then he gets out of the car again with a gun. His family members are saying that he had a book, which would stand to reason. If you're going to go and wait for your son to be dropped off by the bus and you're going to bring him home, you know, it could come quickly, he could come late. You take something to entertain yourself. Put on a bit of music, kick back with your favorite book, read your book, and then your son comes. But not this day. No, not this day. Here come the police. But then you might say, "Oh, well, Phil, that wasn't a white police officer that killed him. It was a black police officer." Well, there comes that blue part. It doesn't always have to be a white officer kill a black person. It can be a black officer. It can be a Chinese officer, like in the case of New York. It can be a Hispanic officer. When you get a bad apple in the bushel, nobody says it has to be a Red Delicious. It could be a Pippin. It could be a Granny Smith. It could be a Golden Delicious. As long as it's under the guise of being an apple, it gets lumped in with the rest of the punch. Here's the way I see it. They go there looking for a person. They don't see that person. They see this black guy sitting in a car. They order him out. The guy's disabled. I don't know what his disabled situation was, but he's disabled. He's reading a book. Oh, good Lord, the police after me. So he jumps out the car with the book in his hand. This black officer sees this dark object and he shoots him. Then after they go running over there, they discover it's a book. Oh, crap! I shot a guy with a book. The book mysteriously disappears because they found no book at the scene, but they found a gun. Now, we know that police officers, like anybody else in the human realm, when they get in a tight, they can get inventive. It's been chronicled many times within the news media, within legal, operations, what have you, that things can be planted to substantiate a crooked story. With all of this stuff awash about brutal police shootings, slip the book down in their belt, plant a gun, everything's cool. There's so many fishy instances in this story, it doesn't even make sense. Both stories, actually. The police chief himself said that in the video footage that he's seen, he can't find anything to substantiate somebody pointing a gun. But then he backtracks and trips over himself by saying, but based upon what was told to him, that could be the case. They're reluctant to show the public the video, but they will show it to the family. Yeah, after it's probably been altered. This is getting out of proportion. Too many people are getting killed. Like I said, these people didn't make bombs. They didn't set off bombs. They didn't cross state lines to plant another bomb that went off. One supposedly had a gun. The other, I don't know what the situation is. This cop claims that he probably was on PCP because she's supposedly a narcotics expert. No. These people go out with an intent to kill. These thugs with a badge and a gun. Even if the guy did have a gun and was pointing it. You got on a bulletproof vest, for God's sake. Can't you shoot him in the leg or shoot him? You got to go for the kill. But yet, a terrorist, can come at you shooting. And yet he lives. You got to ask yourself the question, ladies and gentlemen, what is going on here? There is an air of racism that is involved in this. A lot of people say that the presidential bastard, has a lot to do with this. And I tend to agree on this point. A lot of racist white folks did not like the fact that this black man, or the appearance of a black man, he's a half-breed, but he looks black, is my point. He doesn't fit the mold of the other 40 some odd presidents we've had in office. They didn't like that. They still don't like that. So what do? They know they can't really take him out. They would have to go through great, staking plans to take him out. He's president of the United States, shrouded by Secret Service, yada, yada. Well, what they do, they go and do the next best thing. They'll go get on the police force and then they'll kill every black person they see, because to them, that's killing a little bit of a bastard. I wonder, because all of the presidential candidates, all four of them, even though two of them you don't want to recognize, but all four of them are white. Once one of them, and we know which one will probably get the nod, gets in the White House, will all of this cop, black people killing stuff stop? Or at least slow down? Because after old bastard got in office, that's when it seemed to have picked up. It's anybody's guess. But here's my question. How many of you out there, racist or not, can honestly expect black people, some innocent, some not so innocent, but still, black people to continue getting slaughtered and nothing said about it, no reaction whatsoever? What would you feel if it were white folks getting slaughtered? And all of a sudden white lives mattered and white folks are going out, marching and what have you. And some white folks are marching for black lives, they believe black lives matter, but to the racist, they're sellouts. They're not pure to their race. They're a bunch of jackasses. And I said jackasses instead of saying something else. So how do you feel about that thing? Now, let's look at the marches. For the most part, they're peaceful. And then they turn violent. Why? Well, why are the people out there marching in the first place? Because of something police did. So naturally, when police show up, they're not very well received, period. Then if they start, jumping bad and start with their little riot gear and sicking the dogs on people and throwing tear gas, then that just sends an already angry mob into a frenzy. And they start doing stupid, crazy, heinous, crazy things like breaking private property and jumping on people's cars and going into places and injuring innocent people. Well, the police, that's your collateral damage. You're the one that went out there and shot up that black person. Then that's your collateral damage. Knowing what the situation is as a police officer, when I do this thing, what's going to be the blowback? And do I want to be at the crux of it? Yeah, I can go out there and blow the person away and kill them. But then how many other people are going to get killed because of my action? Do I want to kill this person, or do I want to take every possible way I can to make sure that I not only kill him, but that other people end up dead because of what I've done? Obviously, they don't think that way. So they've got to own some of this. Because in Charlotte, North Carolina, I'm pretty sure everything was going fine. In fact, it was. We didn't even hear of it in the news. It was totally off the radar until somebody got stupid. Tulsa, Oklahoma, it was totally off the radar until somebody got stupid. This woman that shot Crutcher, I don't believe her story, and her stupid lawyer would say it. I don't believe that. You come up on a disabled car in the middle of the street and you see somebody walking around that's obviously disoriented. The first thing you do is pull out your gun and start barking orders like some kind of circus barker. That to me is not good police work. That to me is racist garbage. You'll do what I say or I'll kill you. And that's what you did. Like I said, back in the day, black folks knelt before white people and ingratiated them. And they were happy about that because I've got control. But you don't have that today. And that's what infuriates you, and that's what makes you kill people. That's what makes you kill black people. That's what makes you kill white people. That's what makes you kill Hispanic people. That is even what makes you kill dogs. There's some bad stuff going on in these police departments going all around the country. And the police commissions, the police chiefs, they need to get together and get their departments together. Because I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to tell you the truth. Amongst all those good police officers out there that are towing the line, those bad apples are going to make it bad for your good officers. Because at some point in time, it's going to get like it was back in the 70s. People are going to start packing, and they're not going to trust police officers. When you lose trust, you kind of lose your law and order. Because you're making it a we, they, us against them kind of situation. And when it comes to life, the vast majority of people I know are very law-abiding. Self-preservation is the first law of nature. And before you get me, I'm going to get you. And then we've lost our legal battle. We need our police. We need them. Otherwise, we're going to have pure anarchy. So the police need to do some work, because they're the ones who are going out there and they're killing people. People aren't killing, well, some of them get killed, but you know, it's the other way around. They're doing more murder and mayhem to people than the people are doing to them. But we need to get this thing under control before it starts getting the other way around, because it won't bode well for our police officers that are really out there doing the good job and making sure that they are, you know, dispensing law and order equally among the citizens. So, you know, there's got to be a lot of work done. But these two incidences, just like the other two that happened months ago with Philando Castillo and Alton Sterling, very fishy business. And the people, they're not going to back down. So you need to understand that. And for you racists out there who don't like Black Lives Matter or don't like black people, you don't like black anything. Well, just because you don't like them doesn't mean they're not going to be there. And as long as black people are going to be killed, today's black people aren't yesterday's black people. They're not going to kneel before you. They're going to break your neck if they can. So you need to dig it hard. Stop being so darn racist and understand that people don't necessarily like it when you kill them. You can stop doing anything and be racist. One of the dumbest, most ignorant, asinine things in the world to be. Hate somebody you don't even know because of the color of their skin. And then try to make other people understand that, why are you, complaining about this? It's a good thing that black people are being killed. Kudos. kill them all. What a rotten mentality. You probably won't even stink when you die because you're already dead and stinking. Exec, what do you got?
Well, I'll say my condolences as well, even though he spoke on my behalf, because it's a terrible time to go through, to lose a loved one for no good reason, fake reasons, supposed alleged gun, and just because you're black, I hope that through these terrible times, as you said, that you can, focus on the good memories and the good times you had, the pictures, the videos, and the moments, and try to let those, find some kind of calm in your soul, along with your current family and friends that can hopefully console you, and also to the officers that do a good job, that actually do protect and serve and are out there every day risking their lives, trying to do the right thing and trying to preserve life at all costs until absolutely unnecessary to pull out a gun. I give good kudos to them and much respect to those, but to the dirty cops that are obviously racist and pull this kind of crap at just license to kill, like they think they're James Bond 007, license to kill black people. I can't say anything good about you, and for lack of more appropriate words, that are not very good to have on the web. It starts with possibly F and stuff like that. I'll keep away from that. But I have a great disdain and very infuriated about all this happening. It's been happening too damn often, to tell you the truth. There's this website called killedbypolice.net, and almost the whole time you're talking about, maybe 5 to 10 minutes in, I was scrolling down, seeing which capitalized B, which stands for a black person killed by police, how many of them were killed, and I'm at the very bottom now. I was at about 180 in 2016, and I'm pretty sure it was about 185 or so black people killed just in 2016 alone. There's the ones we know about, Brown, I forget the first name, Trayvon Martin, and even as far as some little kid, Tamir Rice running around with a little toy gun and stuff. They kill him split second from pulling up in the police vehicle and shoot right as they opened the door. He didn't even stop moving, didn't give a chance to say anything. There's too many names. I'm just going to go from the beginning of 2016, list off the ones that are listed as black that happened recently. Tawan Boyd, Keith Lamont Scott, those ones are recent. Philip Hassan, I guess it's a black person, but they might be Muslim as well, but it's still a black person being killed. Another one that sounds like that, Dahir Ahmed Adan. Terrence Crutcher, we talked about that one recently. Nicholas Glenn, Tyre King, Markel Lamar Bivens, Terrence Sterling, we remember that one was kind of recently in the news. Gregory Frazier, another Muslim, Sadiq Bishara Abakar. I don't know what the reason they were killed is, if they were doing some terrorist or if they just genuinely got shot because they got shot. Moses Rubin, Jermone Damon. To keep listening to this would just make the show go on inevitably, and that's...
Well, what you're trying to say is there are a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. That's not our purpose. There was even 2 in one day at one apartment, I remember. They were trying to get to the door open or something and shot two ladies.
He shot an innocent person. Shot the lady that opened the door for him.
Yeah, exactly. It's been going on too damn often.
Let's trigger happy.
I can't stand racists. That's one of my strongest pet peeves. I hate racists. I hate murderers. I hate rapists. And they're all stupid people all combined, To eradicate someone's life just because of a color and try to mask it with being a police officer, and most of the times, if not all the time, getting away with it with the reason it was a justified killing. There was reason for the officer to do that is just ridiculous. It's a scapegoat, These cops are murderers, thugs in police clothing. Not wolf's clothing, police clothing. And it's getting too damn far.
Thugs with a badge and a gun.
It's getting too damn far, exactly. Too damn far and past ridiculous. It's happening too often. You can't even go by a whole month without something like that happening. It happens way too often. As I've said in previous shows, and this is a strong statement, I believe, the police are doing a slow version of
ethnic cleansing.
Ethnic cleansing. not the word I was looking for.
Genocide?
Genocide, yes, that's what I've been saying in previous shows. The police are doing a slow version of genocide, trying to kill off black people slowly, at one little bit at a time. And it's ridiculous, that a Muslim terrorist can, get injured, not killed. They didn't shoot to kill. They should have kept shooting until he was dead, like the other ones that they have. But they didn't kill him, and he's now being preserved, being brought back to full health in a hospital. It's yet 2 people recently, and all the other ones that either were criminals or weren't. Some of them were. That's the truth. Some of them were. A lot of them weren't, and they were innocent. But to have all that happen, and these 2 people are innocent, and just get blown away when they're doing the right thing. It shouldn't matter that they're not following your orders. If you're walking away with your hands up, there's no reason to shoot the person. They're trying they're trying to comply with their own reason.
You got to get down on your knees and beg, to ingratiate them. And if you don't, you're dead.
It's a control issue, like you said. I remember one recently where the person was telling her to put the cigarette out, and she said, "It's my car, it's my cigarette."
Oh, that's Sandra Bland.
Sandra Bland. It's my car, it's my cigarette. You, as a police officer, you don't have a right to tell someone what to do with their own property. I guess you have a right to order them around. This is true, but it's America. You're supposed to be able to smoke if you want. I mean, maybe she's not supposed to smoke in front of an officer if he doesn't like it, but the point was, you don't just tell them, "Put that cigarette out." You say, "If you mind, would you put the cigarette out?" And then even further to obviously prove that he's a racist and doesn't give a, I'm going to say a bad word there, doesn't give a crap about the person he's arresting. He slams her on the ground and she says, "You're hurting me, I have asthma," and he says,
I think, was it asthma or epilepsy? I think it was epilepsy.
I think I have epilepsy, excuse my language here because I'm just quoting the officer. He said, "Fuck your epilepsy," or something like that. That shows.
I'll light you up.
I'll light you up. That's a gangbanger. The thug saying something like that.
That's
not a police
thug with
officer.
a gun and a badge.
It's not a police officer. Saying something like that and doing something like that proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that you're not a cop. You're a dirty cop. You're a racist and a thug. And it's gone way out of control, as you said. The more this continues on, the more protesters there's going to be. There's going to be a protest down in North Carolina right now, Charlottesville. That's going to happen tonight over there in that city, and they're going to have not the FBI, National Guard down there and everything. Because of this, people are tired and fed up with this, which I don't blame them for. They're outraged and they've had enough, and it's going to continue to happen because there's always going to continue to be racists. That's something that's never going to leave this nation. It's a stain on the nation, and it's going to continue, and that's what the whole hurting thing about it is,
Well, unfortunately, it doesn't just go with black people. The whole thing that's going on in North Dakota right now is, again, because white folks want to infringe upon the American Indian, as they've done for centuries.
Mm-hmm.
The poor people can't have enough water to drink. It's a funny thing down in the white section of the river. Oh no, we can't have that pipeline down here. What if it pops? What if it destroys our water? Move it up there by the Indians. Who cares about them? So I mean, this Caucasian thing is gotten out of hand, so much so that it's inflicting and infringing upon the lives of many people. And again, I say, not all Caucasians, not all white folks are this way. There are some that are genuinely concerned about the feelings and the rights of others. But to those racist ones who couldn't give a fat rat's butt about anybody but their own racist stupidity selves, you're causing problems in this country. Look at the way you do things. When they shoot a person, they're not even humane enough to call the emergency services to come get them. They let them bleed out all over the ground. Yeah. And then when they know they're just about dead, oh yeah, send an ambulance over here and pick this person up. Because I almost said something too. But it's a horrible thing have happened, and it's going to continue as long as they continue. So, again, I would say to the police commissions, the police chiefs, the police recruiting division, you need to be more diligent in investigating who it is you're hiring. Because if you're hiring known racists who don't mind blowing somebody away just for their own personal satisfaction, this crap is going to continue. Guard well human life, because it all matters. But until all life matters, then you're going to have spin-offs like Black Lives Matter and other Lives Matter saying that those lives matter, because they don't, because they keep dropping like flies. We thank you for joining us for the Phil Taylor Jones Show. We hope that, again, you can keep that smile on your face, because just like this and all the other bullcrap in the world, it needs to be contradicted. Keeping a smile on your face will hopefully do that. Let them know that they're not going to take away your joy. In this crazy, mixed up, nutty world we live in, try to maintain an air of sanity. And especially in incidences like this, let us dump the hate and increase the peace. We'll see you next time right here on the Phil Taylor Jones Show. Bye-bye.